No, I mean, I've seen pictures that you have on your website. You have an absolutely beautiful family. You've got a young daughter. How's fatherhood changed you? How has it changed how you view life and what you do and coaching and things like that? Has it opened up your eyes to different ways of looking at life as such?
Oh yeah, I don't even know if I can really appreciate that because I've been a dad now for 7+ years. So, gosh, how's it changed me? I think just becoming a father and being really close to my family, there's much more of a sense of we instead of I. So I'm still very much a selfish jerk. I'm sure my wife would argue. But the big decisions or the things that I'm creating in my life, it runs through a filter of we. Like it's not just how's this going to impact me. It's how's this going to impact my wife? How's this going to impact my daughter? And that's where things can get complicated. But I would say that that's probably the biggest thing, and just how I go about making decisions. When I was younger, I did a lot of stuff. I did whatever I wanted. Just go to the airport, jump on a plane, and go places. I gave myself a lot more a lot more freedom back then. I don't have that much kind of spontaneity as much anymore. It's a little more challenging for me to get going and do things outside of my family. So, and that's one of the challenges I have is like I want to make sure I don't get too sedentary. I want to make sure I don't get too kind of fossilized in just family mode, which is one of the reasons why I love having my group of friends and we jump on planes and go hang out together. I always come back a better guy. My wife's always grateful to meet that guy of who I am when I come off the plane.
Because that was a quote that I absolutely loved, that you said one of the best feelings in the world was when your wife took your daughter in the morning and she's beating on your chest and punching you in the beans and, it's strange that you enjoy things like that. My sister's had 3 little kids and being an uncle has been life-changing for me. It's really made me want to be a better person just for them as much as for me. I can't imagine what it's like being a parent. I like being able to hand them back when you're playing with them.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's part of the we thing, right? Like you recognize, somebody's watching me. I'm setting an example, and there's just it's a whole different perspective on our lives, and I couldn't imagine trying to go back and tell my 27-year-old self these kind of lessons. I just wouldn't be able to hear it back then. But now I'm like, oh man, now I get so many of the things that I was reading back then, and I can have a different appreciation for them now.
And have you got advice for people who are new fathers or people who are getting towards that stage of life? How would they develop to be ready for that kind of thing? Or is it just a case of just go through it?
I don't know if you get to be ready. I think that, there's it's going to always be challenging. But it's also just amazing. I was one of those, my wife and I had been married for several years, and we're kind of waiting until we were, quote, ready to start our family. And we really thought there was going to be this opportune time, and suddenly there'd be a letter in the mail saying, you can start a family now. And I'm glad that we just charged it and went for it. When you're thinking about, am I going to have a kid or not, you don't really understand who that kid is. And now that I have my daughter, and it's my daughter, and I know who this person is, I can't imagine my life without her. So it's just one of those things. All the cliches are true, and they're true for a reason. It's just what I've noticed about becoming a parent for me is it's made the highs higher, it's made the lows more intense. It's just really, my whole life experience is way broader now, and I'm grateful for that. I'm a much better man, I believe, because I'm a father. I definitely watch my step a lot more now that I'm a father.
And how do you juggle, running a business, doing the podcast? I've seen you started doing some amazing YouTube videos, right? How do you juggle that with being a father and being the role model? And, because you seem to be everywhere. So how do you avoid burnout and stuff like that? And how do you make family time? Do you have strategies that you implement?
Oh, absolutely. My life is by design. So if I'm working with somebody, we start with, if you were to answer, talk about what success is. Well, for me, it's more about space. It's more that how much time am I putting towards this? How much time do I have for that? So I take a week off every month. I only work basically 3 days a week coaching. The things that if you see me or hear me on the internet or something, it's because I'm doing something I'm enjoying that's energizing for me. So there's very little that I have in my life, and there's stuff, but there's very little that I have that's like the drudging, like, I gotta do this, and it's difficult. I have people that I hire to take care of certain things, but it's been by design. And there were years where it was really freaking hard because I had to get it through the dip there, so to speak. But my life these days is by design, and so it's not an accident. I'm not waiting. I'm not hoping that, gosh, if I just put my head down and someday it's all going to work out. It was always by design. I'm going to get to this place where I have this much time off that I'm going to be putting my energy and efforts towards the things that are energizing for me. And then it's always a bit of a steering act. It's not set it and forget it. I think that's a hard thing for guys. We just really want to find some finish line so we can kick up, put our feet up on the table and crack a beer and watch the TV and forget about shit. And it's staying vigilant. Like, okay, where am I energized now? And honoring when we need to have space. So I appreciate that you think I'm everywhere, but I actually have a really spacious lifestyle, a really spacious work. It feels that way because a lot of what I'm doing is very playful. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. It's like I said, it's not an accident. I've worked really hard to set that up and put that into play.